I know. You're tired of using the kit lens and really want a good upgrade now. You're looking for something much better but in a budget. Something that does great in low light and helps you take great pictures and videos in not so well lit conditions, right? Well then, welcome to the Nikkor 35mm f1.8G lens review. Could this be the best lens to upgrade to? Let's find out. So guys, this is possibly one of the best lenses to upgrade to from a kit lens in the Nikon family. This is the Nikkor 35mm f1.8 AF-S DX lens. Now I know that's a mouthful, but here's what it means. Nikkor is Nikon's brand for lenses, 35mm is the fixed focal length, f1.8 is the maximum aperture, which allows us to conclude that it indeed is a very fast lens for the price. G here stands for gilded, which indicates the absence of an aperture ring. Then AFS stands for silent wave autofocus motor, and finally DX stands for the lens's compatibility with crop censored cameras. Nikkor 35mm f1.8G AF-S DX lens. Boom. Now let's get over all these one by one. So coming to the focal length, yes, it's fixed, meaning you won't be able to zoom in with it like you did with your kit lens. But take this feature of a prime lens as your advantage and not a disadvantage. Zoom in by moving closer to the subject, and trust me, it will really help in taking out the creative side of you. Aside from this, the next best thing about this lens is that aperture. The f1.8 aperture on this lens allows for a much better low light photography in dim lit surroundings. The wide aperture allows for more light entering the camera sensor and giving a much better and visible picture in a low light situation. However, this doesn't mean that the camera works best at the f1.8 aperture setting. Sure, it's the best setting for low light, but when it comes to the sharpness, I find the f2.4 to f2.8 range to be the sharpest here. f2.4 and f2.8 both also allows a good amount of light to enter into the camera sensor. Not as much as the f1.8, but definitely much better than your kit lens's f3.5 aperture. Also, this wider aperture gets a much better and creamier bokeh. Now let's come to that autofocus for a moment. As advertised, it's an AF-S lens, indicating the presence of a silent autofocusing motor inside. Well, I don't want to raise any questions, but isn't silent wave autofocus supposed to be silent? The lens tends to make a bit of a noise while autofocusing during video. This could be a problem for many shooting video out there. It isn't as bad as the standard kit lens, but it's much better than that. This 35mm lens doesn't have a super silent autofocusing motor. It tends to make a little bit of a jittering noise, which can be heard for sure if you listen carefully. The focusing ring too isn't the best out there. It's made up of a rubberish material, which is good honestly, but what I don't like here is that there are no hard stopping points on the lens for the ring to stop rotating. You can keep on rotating the focusing ring for as long as you want and you won't reach a hard stop at infinity. This isn't necessarily a big trouble, but definitely worth mentioning. A good thing about this lens is that it also has an auto/manual mode, meaning you can manually set the focus even when the lens is set to autofocus mode. I find this very handy just in case the lens has problems in focusing automatically. Lastly, we come to the lens's compatibility. This is a DX lens, meaning this lens is fit for crop censored cameras like the D3300, D5200, D5300, D3100, D5100 and many more. This lens can also be used on full frame cameras, but that would lead to a little bit of vignetting on the corners. The main reason why we're using a 35mm lens instead of a 50mm on such a crop censored camera is because this 35mm lens would work like a 50mm lens in itself, and here's why. The Nikon cameras have a crop factor of just about 1.5. So multiplying 35 by 1.5 give us a focal value of 52.5mm. So the field of view you get with a 35mm lens on a crop censored camera, especially from Nikon, would be almost equal to using a 50mm lens on a full frame camera. If you decide to go with a 50mm lens with a crop censored camera, then you'll have a very zoomed in video or image because of that 1.5 crop factor. But if zoomed in pictures are your game, then go for it. The lens overall is a performer, although you can see the spaces where they've done the cost cutting to get this lens right under $150 mark. This is a superb lens overall. I'm sure many of us record audio separately, so the autofocusing noise shouldn't matter. Aperture ring is just subjective. Some people like to have it, some don't. The plastic build shouldn't be much of a problem too. The main part of this lens, the mount, is made up of heavy duty metal for the least. So should you go in for this lens? I see no reason to refuse this for an upgrade over your kit lens. If you want to grab one for yourself, head towards the link in the video description. Also, to check out the video samples, here are some on the screen, and the last 3 videos were also made on this lens itself. So make sure to check them out. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe to the channel if you think it's worthy. Also leave a comment down below stating why you'd buy or not buy this lens and go for a different one. And I'll catch you guys later.